What we do isn't necessarily finding out or understanding what they want from a person. It's what they want from a relationship. Try something new. Know what it is what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are the things that you enjoy doing?
Your next favorite podcast pick starts now. Here's the Professor and Heather Ann.
Welcome to the Professor and Heather Ann. Although we don't have all the answers, we hope we can encourage and excite you. We're here sharing our lives to inspire you to make the most of the second half of your life. And today we are revisiting the topic of dating and forming relationships and maintaining relationships later in life. So can you describe your mindset, your expectations, your requirements you'd been separated, your marriage was being dissolved. And so what were you thinking of as you started looking toward finding a new partner?
Honestly, I wasn't ready for dating. It wasn't even in my mind. I knew that I needed to work on myself first and heal from my marriage failing. So it took prompting from friends for almost 2 years to get out there, start dating, just go on a date. And I just did not want to do that yet.
Because?
I think a lot of it had to do with I knew I needed healing from myself. I wanted to work on myself. I needed to figure out for myself why my marriage failed. I went into my marriage that this was going to be the rest of our lives. We had children. And I think I just needed to sit with myself for a while to figure out what did I want to do? What would make me happy? I knew I needed to be happy with myself before I could be happy with somebody else.
Okay.
And what about you? You dove into the dating pool very quickly.
Very quickly, yes. Just a few months after my ex served me with papers. And I in some ways, I was optimistic. I thought I'll be able to find someone. I'm an interesting person. I've led an interesting life. I'm financially self-sufficient. But I didn't expect to find a soulmate. I didn't expect to find a relationship as deep as what we have.
And we were just talking about this the other night because we were talking about the episode coming up that we're recording. And it made me kind of sad. I don't know if we ever really completely dove into that. Why were you not expecting to find the love of your life or a soulmate?
I thought of myself as a rather quirky person who's difficult to get to know. And so my ex and I, we met in grad school. We both did the same kind of research, and it's a kind of research that's incompatible with almost anything else because it involves being in exotic countries out in the jungle for months or years at a time, following monkeys around. And so I think the two of us we were very happy that we found each other because we could live this life together. But I thought after the divorce proceedings got going that I expected to find someone who I could be compatible with and reasonably happy with, but I didn't expect that it would be someone who I could reveal as much of myself and be understood at the depth that you understand me.
Well, that makes me happy that it's me. And we had no problems. Our first date, as most know, was 6 hours long. And obviously we found a lot to talk about in that 6 hours because our conversation we never had a lull in our conversation. We just went from one topic to another. But it also made me sad a little bit the other night. And I told you that it made me sad that you were going out into the dating world not expecting the fireworks and everything, that you could find that person, when for me, it was the opposite. I did not want to jump in the dating pool until I knew I was, number one, ready to accept that. But I was to the point where also, if I didn't find that, then I was okay and I didn't have to continue dating. I was not going to waste my time on somebody that didn't meet those expectations of me.
So you were okay with being alone for the rest of your life?
I actually was okay with that. I was fortunate enough that I dated a lot prior to getting married. Quite a bit. That's a whole nother episode just in itself. But I was very fortunate, and I had dated a wide range of men. So when I got married, we had been together for 28 years, married for 26. It just wasn't what I expected. I didn't expect our marriage to end.
Mm-hmm.
But we were going in different directions. There was no way for our marriage to continue. And so some of the things, like, we didn't have some interests we didn't have. Like, I started having a lot of interest. I started doing speaking, and he didn't want to be a part of that. So that just kind of started putting a separation in our marriage. So I knew when I was looking for somebody that I wanted to have something more in common. We had to be able to have conversation. There was just, I had high expectations.
This might be a good segue to. We'll come back to this. We have lots more episodes.
We have a lot about this.
But this is, so thinking about this, about people's, first of all, people's expectations as they get onto the dating market, and also what people need to do for themselves to prepare themselves for this. And this then marks our opportunity to. Well,
before that, I would also like to say I'm seeing a difference, because we get asked a lot of how we met and how it was when we first started dating. And I'm finding a lot more women my age and older are being choosier, I guess is the best way to say it. They are not sure they want to date. They don't want to waste their time. I think part of it is just frustration. But I find, do you think, this is a question for you, do you think men your age are willing to settle? Because in a way, you're saying that you were willing to.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Haven't known that many. I haven't known very many men my age who've been in this situation of being divorced or widowed, and feeling like taking the steps to find a new partner. So I can't really say from.
You might have to do some research.
Yes,
you need to do your research on that. But now we're going to go ahead and go into. We have a guest today. We would like to welcome Jaimee Anderson, a relationship coach, singles guru. Jaimee will share her early sense of purpose, witnessing unhealthy relationships growing up. I know a lot about that. And how her pain evolved into purposeful ministry, helping others. I really like that. Welcome, Jaimee.
Thanks, guys. So yes, that is me. I basically grew up here around, I won't say Coweta, but not too far from here. Moved here from LA, and have been married for 4.5 years now. We have a blended family of 7 kids and soon to be 11 grandkids. And he is my number one fan, and the reason why I'm able to do what I do. And because I knew that I was going to be doing this a long time ago, but didn't have the knowledge, support, or Listen, nobody should be receiving relationship advice from somebody who isn't a dumpster fire of a relationship herself.
I like it.
So it took my own journey of healing and realizations to get to this point.
So you said you've known for a long time you wanted to do this.
I did. Probably 10, 11 years old. I knew that I was going to be a relationship coach. I didn't know the term relationship coach at that time. Whenever I would go to my dad's work parties, I would sit with women and wives of the group instead of playing with the other kids, and I would just sit there and listen to them and their stories and what they were going through. And I enjoyed it. And there was one time where a new wife or woman came to sit at the table. I'm like, does she need to leave? And they're like, nope, she's fine. I had gained trust from them that I was just going to sit there and I was going to listen and not say anything about. I mean, I was young. I didn't have the right to tell them as adults.
And how long have you been a relationship coach now?
I'm going into my fifth year. Going into my fifth year of being a relationship coach. I had the school that I wanted to go to picked out for at least 10 years before I actually went. And it's been a journey ever since.
So is relationship coach like a subtype of life coach?
Yes, but I only focus on the relationship you have with yourself and others.
So explain to us a little bit what a relationship coach is.
So a relationship coach is somebody who helps you find yourself after divorce, after generational cycles where you don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like. It is somebody who helps you create practical steps of understanding after understanding your vulnerable areas of where you may fall into unhealthy cycles and patterns, to be aware of what that looks like, sounds like, feels like, and then make a plan going forward to make sure that you're steering away from that and going to the positive of it to where you're able to be in a place to receive healthy love and not the chaos.
So do you use certain, what should I say, like lessons or exercises? That's the word I wanted.
Yeah.
So give us an example.
So my conscious dating program is my signature program. It's 12 weeks long and is an exercise-based program. Every week they have a different exercise to complete that we will go over the next week. And it just gives them a chance to be intentional and purposeful with their time of how they're being intimate and knowing themselves on a level that they probably haven't had an opportunity to be with themselves at any point in their life. So knowing, my favorite one is knowing your top 5 values. I mean, you probably have a list much longer than 5, but knowing what the 5 are is really important to where you aren't losing yourself whenever you get into another relationship. You're able to live these things out on a day-to-day basis, or sometimes a regular, consistent basis. And then also knowing shared values, to where you know the foundation of what things are being built on, need to be built on in order for it to sustain.
So that's basically what happened with my first marriage. I feel like I lost myself. Mm. And then the kids were getting older. I needed to start deciding what I needed to do next with my life. The kids were going to be moving out of the house soon, going off into their lives. And I feel like that's where the discord happened in my previous marriage, is that we were just now heading down 2 different paths. And I knew one of the reasons why I waited before I decided I was going to start dating was that very reason. I knew I needed to sit with myself for a little while and find out what I really wanted, what really was important, and what I was not willing to negotiate on anymore. Do you find women, so I'm in my late 50s, do you find women my age are paying more attention to that as they're getting older?
Absolutely. I mean, women in general, even the majority of my clients, the people who attend events, the singles community group that I lead, is primarily in their mid 30s to late 40s. And I do have some that are outside of that, and I'm seeing that sort of intentionality across the board. But what the initial struggle is they know what they don't want. They struggle to know what they do want.
Oh, I find that interesting. Okay. So when the best advice I got even before I started dating and even really started thinking about it was probably 6-8 months before I jumped on those dating apps. I wrote a list of, somebody told me to write down a list of 5 non-negotiables in a partner that I wanted. And I did that, and I completely forgot about it afterwards. And then I think I had that in my mind, though. I was very thankful that I sat down and wrote those out. So that's similar to what you're having your clients do is.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably a bigger part of that is narrowing down lists. I mean, people will bring lists of 25, 30 things, right? And we're like, ooh, we don't need that long of a list. And really finding out what are the actual requirements, or what is it that in their list, what is the actual meaning of it, right?
So you're just not writing stuff down. What is the purpose behind that?
Yeah, because somebody who mows the lawn, they're not looking for somebody who actually mows the lawn. What is the deeper meaning of that? They're wanting somebody who contributes to the household. Mm-hmm. They're wanting somebody who shares chores, whatever the case may be. But it's so that we can probably take 5 or 6 of them off the list because we understood the actual meaning of what they meant by that.
Full disclosure, my list was 50. And I found it 6 months before we were getting married, and he checked all but 2.
There we go.
So I'm just putting that out there, but I understand it's overwhelming, and I was precise on them, and there was multiple that seemed to be exactly the same thing. So that helped me narrow in of. So this is, like you said, I want somebody that's going to contribute to the household, and we're building this house together. We're taking care of it together. And
the biggest kind of switch to that, or just a different point of view or perception of it, is what we do isn't necessarily finding out or understanding what they want from a person. It's what they want from a relationship, to where you're able to have like this view of, can I see life with this person? Mm-hmm. Like, you're not asking for perfection or somebody to bring qualities that you're not bringing yourself. You're wanting this to look a certain way, for your relationship to look a certain way, for you to see it as sustainable.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I believe that's really what my list was. So tell us some other things that you help your clients with. You do singles events?
I do. So for the first 2 years of my business was solely one-on-one coaching. And I had seen, of course, my social media feeds, of singles in the area who were tired of the dating scene. And I just couldn't understand, because I meet so many amazing singles here in Tulsa. And I'm like, why aren't y'all crossing paths? So I was like, I can fix this. And that's whenever God put it on my heart that I just needed to create opportunities, and he was going to work the rest. And so that's whenever I started. My first singles event was in August of 2024. And actually here out in Coweta at Salt and Soul, and it was my mix and mingle. And it was a great turnout. It was almost it was There was actually more men than women who showed up to that event. Not by much, but I was really proud of the men for showing up, because that was the thing, that women felt that men don't show up, and I'm just like, I'm telling you, there are great people out here. So I decided from there that I was going to create events where people could cross paths with others that they wouldn't normally have the chance to do so. People who were investing time, money, and energy, which they weren't getting on things like dating apps.
She looks at us as we say dating apps.
So yes, I'd like to hear your opinion, and it's probably not something you can summarize in just a few sentences, but your opinion about dating apps in general, because I have been seeing in various media articles and blog posts and so forth, just bashing them, saying, all they do is encourage people to judge one another on purely superficial characteristics, and they're just a horror show, and stay away from them, and you should try to meet people the old-fashioned way in person. So of course, Heather and I met on an app. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about that.
I think that dating apps are great, but I don't think that it should be your sole way of meeting people. I think that you should have other lines in the water of going out and meeting people. And if it's that why are you on the dating apps? Why is it that you are only on dating apps meeting somebody? Is it because is it out of fear of wasting time or energy on people who aren't worth it? Is it because you just don't have the time and space to get out and meet people at actual events? The why behind it is probably more of it. And with dating apps, listen, you got to have a thick skin for dating apps.
Yes.
You got to have a good strong mindset for sure.
You do. I think my purpose of the dating app was because with my primary business, I'm networking all the time. There's people, but I didn't want to be in that pool. I wanted to be someplace else, meet some different men that I normally would not come into meet with in my everyday life. Mm. So that was one of the reasons why I got on the app. And again, I was just diving in. So I thought, okay, we'll just try it this way and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so now I've told a story on previous episodes, but this app, JDate, so it's dating app for Jews. And when I moved to Oklahoma and reset my address on the app and discovered, of course I knew this, but there are very few Jews in Oklahoma. And so there were a total of about 10 women that met the criteria that I set. And most of those, I could tell I didn't meet their criteria. And I was about to just give up entirely. The app seemed like a complete waste of time and money. And that's when Heather happened to join.
But you were on a few other apps.
Yes, yeah.
Prior to that.
I tried eHarmony. None of the women that I messaged on eHarmony ever replied. So, okay, but something I want to ask you is, because I've heard it said this way. There's like two different kinds of, you might say, mismatch. There's one where two people seem very compatible if you just look at like their profiles, the lists of things that they say that they want, and the attributes that they themselves have. And so you just look at those lists, you say, oh yeah, these people would be a good match. But then they meet face to face and discover there's no spark, there's nothing there. But then there's the other kind of mismatch where there is a spark, there's a lot of physical attraction, but in the long term, these people, they're not compatible. They're going to have clashing values, for example, and they're not going to be able to stay together. So I guess like these gatherings that you organize, so tell us based on what I've just said.
So, because I host different kinds of events, I do Latin dancing. I only do one speed dating event a year. The rest of them are casual. Just let's have fun. Like no expectations. Just get out here, work on social skills, meet new people, Maybe some friendships may come out of it because people need friends, and community for sure. Community is lacking in the singles community. So because I do dance nights and game night and hiking and all these different types of things, bingo's popular. People who that interest coming up is a Christmas light tour. People who have interest in those types of things, they are like, oh, okay, I'm going to try this. I've had people who have sat in the background for 2 years just waiting, and they're like talking themselves in and out of going or not going until they finally just, all right, I'm doing it, which I think is fantastic because it's all about them jumping in whenever they are ready and taking that experience.
And then because you have different venues and different things, then it's safe to say at least you're going to have something in common with the person that you might meet at bingo or Latin dancing, because they're there, they're putting themselves out. So what a great opportunity to kind of open that door and have more conversation to see what.
Absolutely. And the laughter and just like the walls that get let down just from being surrounded by people who are also nervous and stepping out of their comfort zone to try something new for the purpose of growth. And you can just kind of find comfort in that, even though you're a ball of nerves.
So in the good old days, we had to go out and meet people or have people introduce us, go to functions, different things like that. And now we're in a society that more people work from home. So they're not in an office with the opportunity to meet people, then could be introduced to other people. How do you feel like that's changed the shifting for dating for most people? Is, working from home, social media, we just don't seem to be going out as much and participating in events as we used to.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the reason why it was put on my heart to do this. While it was something that people want, they wanted to meet others in an organic way. And creating these events and a singles community group and things like that, where people are able to come and at different times or days of the week to accommodate those things. People are able to work on their social skills because they've been behind social media for so long or at home and not with having that adult interaction. People come just for that. They may not be ready to date, and that's perfectly fine. They don't need to be ready to date for the singles events. It's just there to get you out there to learn more about yourself.
I saw this astonishing statistic that among American young men, like men younger than 25, like more than half of them have never asked a woman for a date in person. They may have tried to contact women on the apps, but
yeah,
that's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I'll be honest, it's not really happening at the events either. If somebody will reach out to me and be like, hey, I really enjoyed this conversation that I was having with this person. Do you think they would be up for going out for coffee or something? And they use me as kind of like a knowing of whether that's what they were there for or not. And then I will reach out and ask, hey, is this something that you, because that's not what they're really intended for, but people will shoot their shot and based on the interaction that they had. And there's been some great connections, even a marriage that has happened from one of the events, which is pretty awesome.
It's really awesome. I like to hear that. So looking through our notes and everything, what is this rule of 3?
So the rule of 3, you can use the rule of 3 with anything within dating. That's what I use it for. But the rule of 3 is whenever you go to try something, go 3 times. If you're going to try a new interest-based group, go to the group 3 times before you choose whether that's the group for you or not. If you are going to go out on a date with somebody, go out on a date with them, commit to going out on a date with them 3 times before you decide if they are for you or not. And I don't mean that you guys are completely off on really important things, like you want kids and they do not. Like, we're not going to waste 3 dates on that person,
Correct.
right? But giving somebody an opportunity to come to just kind of ease more into that conversation, be able to have a little bit more camaraderie, during that second or third day that you wouldn't have seen the first date because they were nervous. They didn't know, they hadn't been doing this, right? So the rule of 3, try something 3 times before you make a decision on it.
I like that. That's a good rule. And you can implement that in other areas of your life as well. So
Absolutely.
I really like that. What are some more tips that we haven't gone over? What tips do you have for listeners, our single listeners, especially for, it doesn't matter what age you are. I do feel like just because more women are talking to me, I'm just one of those people that I could be standing in the line and somebody likes to tell me their whole life story. But one of the things that I'm hearing more and more is that women are just kind of giving up and not wanting to put themselves out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a complete lack of trust. And what a lot of people don't understand and know is that whenever trust has been broken within a relationship, and that could be a friendship or a romantic relationship, it can only be regained, built back within a relationship. Not saying that it has to be a romantic relationship. It can also be a friendship that it's built back. And I was going to bring one of the trust jars that I made, but it fell off my seat while driving here, and it's in 100 pieces on my car floor.
No. So
it'll be.
What is a trust jar, real quick?
So a trust jar is something I've put together for my clients who struggle with maybe creating boundaries for themselves. Boundaries are for you, rules are for other people. So whenever you create boundaries for somebody, they're for you to maintain, not for other people to maintain. And so these trust jars are great for the practical and the emotional people. It's a mason jar, and it has, it could be marbles, it could be those little gem things or stones or whatever. And the person that you are wanting to build trust with, whenever they do something or show up in a certain way, or say something to you that shows that they had listened to you, whatever the case may be, you put a stone in the jar for that person. And as you are dating them and they do things and show up for you in a certain way that shows trust or understanding, you continue to put a stone in the jar. Whenever the jar fills up, it becomes like this representation of how somebody has shown up for you in a positive way that maybe some previously hadn't.
But it's mainly for yourself that you're recognizing that they're showing up for you.
Yes.
So it's a visualization. Excuse me. Let's say that again. A visualization to see. To me, it would seem like I'm trusting myself. I'm trusting this person, and they're showing me that they're showing up.
Right. To where you are not committing yourself or giving your heart to somebody who hasn't earned it yet. A lot of times people are investing time, energy, and their body into somebody who hasn't earned the right to any of that. And they commit to them, and they don't take time, and they repeat those unhealthy patterns of jumping into something too quickly. And the trust jar allows not only for the time for them to be like, okay, this person is trustworthy. This person is showing up for me. They have I'm sure they're showing me that they are earning, my heart in a way. And it works great for couples too, who have maybe had broken trust and they're needing to
Rebuild
it.
I like that. That's a really great visualization. And we had a lot of discussions. We kind of needed to navigate that ourselves, that when one of us would react to something, we would stop and go, is this something we're dealing with now? Or is this something that happened in our previous relationships that we're bringing into this relationship?
That's good.
We were very conscious,
very intentional,
not bringing in our old baggage, leaving that at the door and working on our relationship one-on-one with each other, which is very hard. We're older. We have lots of things from our parents, things from previous relationships.
And so, there are these sort of response patterns or little scripts, that you've picked up in the course of, many decades, and it's difficult to sort of get past them and react in a different, more constructive way.
And being open and honest about feelings and the different things that we were going through.
But okay, so then you don't, am I right, that you don't counsel couples?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Well, tell us about that.
I had always referred to myself as a relationship coach, and somebody was like, but it sounds like you only do couples. So that's where Singles Guru came about, because I do both. I do coach primarily singles, just because that's where I feel successful and sustaining marriages start. And that's where improving the success rate of marriage starts for me.
But that's good to hear that you do couples, because we went to somebody similar, that what you do. When we decided, okay, are we going to get engaged? Are we getting married? Are we continuing with this relationship? We went and did some counseling and stuff in regards to that. Mm-hmm. And that worked out great for us. And it was really nice to kind of not just feel that we were compatible, but to actually have conversation about everyday life things. See on paper, there were several different tests that we had to take to see on paper that we were compatible. But I feel like, and I highly recommend, in couples that are new and older and in new relationships like we were, I always recommend that. Find some type of counseling. I highly recommend it. It does not have to be spiritual. It does not have to be a marriage counselor, but find somebody like you that can help them navigate that, to make sure that they're starting on a solid foundation. They've got the skills in case something happens, which it always does, because life, because we never thought we would be here 3 years later.
Communication skills, like ways of disagreeing, ways of resolving disagreements, or sometimes just deciding that you just disagree, that are, constructive, that build a relationship rather than, degrade it.
So what are some tips that you have for people in the Tulsa area for dating, and how can they find out about your events? And
yeah, absolutely. Tips for getting out there. Try something new. Know what it is what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are the things that you enjoy doing? Use internet for the good. There are so many opportunities for you to get out there. I mean, for the singles community group that I lead, I have people who have Googled Christian small groups near me because they don't have anything in their own church. Like, they're using the internet for the good, right? People drive from Bartlesville and Cleveland. I've had somebody who drove from Yukon to go to an event. Like, use the internet for good to get out there and try something new. And you may cross paths with some amazing people. You may find some friendships that you are going to be there for life. If nothing else, right? If going out there and just enjoying, having a few laughs, getting out of your routine for a little bit, and just enjoying the evening. You can find me on Facebook, Jaimee Anderson, or Tulsa's Relationship Coach and Singles Guru, and also on Eventbrite. Regardless if my event is free or paid for or paid through the venue, my events are always on Eventbrite to make sure that people who aren't even on social media, they have the opportunity to find something to participate in.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jaimee. Is there any one last thing you want to say before we wrap up?
No, this was great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. This episode was all about dating and getting out there and dating. And we were very fortunate to have Jaimee Anderson, a relationship coach and singles guru, on our episode today. Thank you very much for coming. We get asked a lot about how we met, dating, getting married, when we're meeting new people, when I put something out there on social media. So I'm very glad that we were able to bring on a professional to talk about dating and getting out there. And it's really just putting yourself out there.
It's very difficult for some people to do. So easier said than done.
Easier said than done, but I'm hoping that we can inspire some singles to attend some local events, get out of their comfort zone, go to some new events, and just give it a try. You just never know.
That's right.
I didn't know, and
look.
And here we are, over 3 years later.
Folks, if you enjoy our podcast, and we hope that you do, we ask you to please subscribe and to please rate us, write a review on whatever platform you get your podcasts.
So we hope you enjoyed this episode in which we talked about dating at any age, healthy relationships, boundaries, and how to find love again. We have so many exciting discussions coming up, including guests, and we can't wait to have you along for new episodes. So join us here each week, my friend, where you're sure to get a smile. From lessons learned to mishaps, the adventures go on for miles. Here on The Professor and Heather Ann.
Thank you for listening to The Professor and Heather Ann.